So here is one of my favorite EDC blades to use slash outdoor knives. That is the Cold Steel's vg1 Pendleton Hunter. Simply because you get such a really big rubber overmolding grip. Extremely ergonomic. It's basically the fixed blade version of their Ultimate Hunter folder. You've got a very sudden hollow grind like you would see on buck knives. Got a pretty wide, almost 2-inch blade, wide, 3.5 inches long. Drop point style with that big Skinner belly. And if you look at the thickness on this thing, it's like a 1/4 inch thick. So you can really abuse this knife. And because it hollow grinds down to such a thin edge, it's razor sharp. Got a nice thumb scallop at the top here. The ribbing on the spine and the belly. The diamond checkering on the sides. You got that perfect palm swell. So with or without gloves, this thing is comfortable. It fits the hand. You got the grip that you want. Now this is the older VG1 version with GSM and everything being produced in AUS 10A. So I'll do kind of a side-by-side comparison at some point. This thing from factory has a very sharp spine and it throws just insane sparks from a ferro rod. Got a lanyard on there on the back, extra safety to grip on, makes it look a little cool. Now this is the fire paracord, so I can just trim off those ends and use that to help start a fire if I ever need to. Zinc and baton, slice food, do feather sticks. Obviously a hunting knife first, but if you want kind of a really nice one tool option, this thing is great. No damage. There you go. Bead on this. So the factory edge is pretty good, but it could be way better. Like it was sharp, but it wasn't that like super mega hair shaving sharp. So what we're gonna do is there we go. I don't think you're gonna pick that up on the camera, but I tried seeing that online. It's ground at 20 degrees per side. So I hit it with the KME 20 degrees per side, and it wasn't hitting the apex. It was just grinding away that shoulder on that grind. So what I'll do is just to save time, I'll do, let's say, 22.5 degrees on the Canadian work sharp, and then I'm going to finish that edge off with the KME 22.5 degrees with their really fine stones, with the 1500, and then the 4,000 to 5,000 grit stone after that to give it a screaming edge. And yeah, overall just such a great EDC little knife. Digging up the potatoes, the ones that are dying back. We'll leave these ones here until we get the first heavy frost, because we had a light frost come in about the beginning of the month or so, or 3 weeks ago, which killed off most of those potatoes. But just having fun here. So it's sharp and it gets the job done. It's just the factory grind didn't have that like mega sharp grind that we're usually looking for. Fun fact with the fireweed, once the last of the blooms go, then it's 6 weeks till winter. So that's kind of your time bomb to look out for. Let's just hack this these radish flowers. Gets the job done, you can see. And then let's just, yeah, we're just gonna do this live. So I got a lanyard on there. You can see you can get a nice full grip. Even with gloves, this thing is still going to be great. This one, I think the handle is starting to off-gas a little bit from that polymer, because there's a tiny bit of a squeezing and space in between the handle and the steel. Good thing it's a stainless vg1. It hardly ever rusts, although it can happen. So maybe in 5-10 years time is going to be time for a rehandle project on this guy. And I really like the sheath that it comes with. I am a big fan of the cold steel sheaths. And lo and behold, probably can't see that, there is about 3 millimeters of clearance between the blade itself and the sheath. So there is no dragging or dulling the sheath when you pull it out. It's got a big amount of retention on this really big, almost softer kind of polymer. So you really do need to push with your thumb to get it out of the sheath. And I really love that extra snap on the top. I've just been EDCing this the past week on the belt. Epic dad bod, ready to go. So, not the most visible or hideable knife you can see, but gets the job done. There's the potato gremlin. What was I gonna say? Yeah, sheath is great. Overall size and carryability is great. So I really like what they did here is they gave you a mega thick, like 1/4 inch thick stock, which is not usual on hunting knives, but they did give it a deep hollow grind. So the classic VG1 Pendleton Hunter. I'd like to see the difference between the new OS 10 and VG1. This is 22.5 degrees from the Canadian work sharp for the edge. So let's baton it through this nasty old frozen stick. Now this is a great hunting knife. As you can see, it's got a pretty thick spine, a reinforced tip with that thickness and that scoop of that big hollow grind about, 4/5 of the way up. So you got this really, really keen razor edge. With a combination of that thick spine, you can absolutely wallop this. Okay, not sure where we left off, but 22.5 degrees from the Canadian work sharp on VG1 Pendleton Hunter. Makes a really, really fine edge. Slice is great. It's a pretty strong edge. I find it's just the right amount of not being too thick with a 25, might be a little thick. And 20 is still a good option, but with the convexing and knocking off that shoulder, it's you can see it works really well. That's just a baton one little piece of log, just in case that video cut off from the other camera battery. Of these frozen brittle logs, a little bit tougher. As you can see, you get a keen edge with this thing as well. Has a strong reinforced spine being so thick, like that's 1/4 inch thick or maybe even a little bigger. So this thing is damn comfortable. That big drop point hunter style handle. It's got a nice palm swell. Enough of a guard up here with choking up so you can get a lot of control. And you got some checkering on the sides, which makes it grippy. And then the ribbing on the bottom and the top. This just thing locks in your hand, but it's squishy and just so comfortable. I'll see how it off-gasses over time and see how it happens, but they do sell treatments for that kind of problem. So let's do the tip and the belly here. As you can see, this thing works. This thing, no problem. And it is probably one of the most comfortable knives that I own for the handle. It's very rubbery, it's grippy, it's got the right amount of palm swell, the guard up front, nice amount of choil for choking up and using. Thing is, okay, that piece is busted, but 22.5 degrees convexed from the KME. that ready. Balanced again. Comfy. There we go. Now let's see. There we go. A plus.